Part 59. God Level Tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Taido. Chapter 584. At this moment, all the Tianjiao released all their cultivation power and stood directly on the stairs. Boom! Suddenly, a strong pressure descended directly on these people, and everyone's face changed and became a little solemn. However, their eyes were very firm. There is no doubt that the stairs filled with pressure in front of them are still the test of the Tianxing sect for them. As long as they pass this test, they can become members of the Tianxing sect. I have entered the state of meditation in this Tianxing sect. It's just a little pressure, what's the big deal? How can you stop me? Voices came out from the mouths of these Tianxiao, and everyone was full of fighting spirit and confidence. Li Hao was also among these Tianxiaos, unknown. On Li Hao's body, there was also a strong fairy power released, which wrapped Li Hao's body and resisted the strong pressure in this space. Although this pressure was strong, it had not reached the point that Li Hao could not bear it. Tianxing sect, here I come. Li Hao looked at the huge portal that seemed to stand on the sky above the void, muttered, and a sharp light burst out in his eyes. The next moment, Li Hao took a step directly, carrying the wire, and walked towards the top step by step. At this moment, beside Li Hao, hundreds of figures, like Li Hao, all walked towards the portal above step by step. In this way, all the Tianjiaos gathered their strength and continued to attack the huge portal. In the front, these people climbed faster, but in the back, the gap between their cultivation strengths was slowly revealed. Because, as the stairs got higher and higher, the pressure on the stairs became stronger and stronger. Although most people can basically bear it, their speed is getting slower and slower. There are a total of 10,000 steps on this step, but at this moment, even those who walked in the front have only walked less than 2,000 steps. Li Hao walked among the crowd. Apart from his handsome appearance, there was nothing special about him. Li Hao walked step by step, letting the powerful pressure fall on him without changing his expression. Beside Li Hao and in front and behind him, there were the figures of these geniuses. Soon, another quarter of an hour passed. Li Hao had arrived at the position of the 3,000th step. The pressure here had become very terrifying, causing Li Hao's speed to become very slow. Li Hao noticed that in front of these geniuses, there was a very beautiful figure, who was the woman named Shen Bingzin before. Shen Bingzin was indeed a mid-level celestial being, and she was also a very outstanding existence among these geniuses. Even when she came to the position of the 5,000th step, Shen Bingzin's pretty face still did not show much change, and she looked like she was keeping people away from her. Following closely behind was the young man named Wang Deifa, who also came to the 4,980th step. Perhaps in order to catch up with the woman named Shen Bingzin, Wang Deifa also used his own strength to the extreme. Behind the two, there were several proud figures that were particularly eye-catching. The young man who came from Bihan territory in white clothes and carrying a long sword was one of them. The young man looked like a sharp sword, moving forward. In addition, there was a woman in a black long skirt, with a veil on her face, making it difficult to see her specific face, but both her figure and temperament were first class. At this moment, the woman also came to the 4,600th step. Behind this woman was a burly man, standing there like a small mountain, letting the pressure fall on his body, which could not stop his steps at all, and he came to more than 4,500 steps. Behind them, there were several proud young men, all of whom had very good temperaments. These people were considered to be outstanding among these geniuses. These people were considered to be in the first echelon, and their cultivation strength was naturally the strongest. They were basically middle-grade immortals. And even so, these people did not completely reveal their cards. As time slowly passed, another half an hour passed. At this moment, Li Hao also came to the position of the 6,000th step. and those in the front had already reached the height of the 8,000th step. But at this moment, these people, without exception, every step they took became extremely difficult. Because, at the height of the 8,000th step, the pressure here has become extremely terrifying, just like a substance. The woman named Shen Bingzin was still ranked first. Even as powerful as she was, every step she took became extremely difficult. Shen Bingzin still walked slowly, but the color on her pretty face had become rosy. Bang! Shen Bingzin released all her cultivation power without reservation, exerting her immortal power to the extreme, and then took another step. However, the moment she took this step, Shen Bingzin's expression suddenly changed again, because Shen Bingzin suddenly felt a supreme power descending upon her. At this moment, the whole world seemed to be pressing down on her, making her a little breathless, let alone letting her take the next step. These 8,000 steps seemed like a ravine, forming an invisible barrier. And the pressure here has become shocking. Shen Bingzin saw that the wind and clouds around her seemed to change color, and the people behind her disappeared. It seemed that she was the only one left between heaven and earth. And she had to face this whole world alone. In the dark, it seemed that a voice was saying, "Shen Bingzin, retreat. Shen Bingzin, the will of heaven cannot be violated. No, I must climb up today." The next moment, Shen Bingzin said firmly. At the same time, in Shen Bingzin's body, a strange power was running out. That power seemed to come from the blood, but it was directly activated at this moment. Suddenly, a green lotus appeared under Shen Bingzin's body, and the green lotus wrapped Shen Bingzin's body in it, and a supreme power flowed and rose above Shen Bingzin's body. At this moment, the momentum on Shen Bingzin's body became even stronger at this moment. Green Lotus Immortal Art. This is the Taoism practiced by Shen Bingzin, a real immortal art, and also the most famous immortal art of the Shen family. As a last resort, Shen Bingzin also began to use her own means. If she relied on her cultivation alone, it would be difficult to go up. Bang! And as soon as Shen Bingzin used the Green Lotus Immortal Art, Shen Bingzin's feet finally fell completely. Then, Shen Bingzin continued to go up, and the door above the 10,000 steps was not far away. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 585. As Shen Bingzin used the Green Lotus Immortal technique to attack the top portal again, Wang Daifa and others who followed Shen Bingzin followed closely and began to use their own methods. Even Wang Daifa used his best skills. A pure power flowed and rose above Wang Daifa's body. Wang Daifa's body was bathed in golden light. He was like a god of war, carrying a majestic force upward. There was also the young man in white carrying a long sword. He released a sharp sword intent from his body. Standing there, he was like a sharp sword, moving forward with great momentum, as if breaking the space in front. There was also the masked woman in black. When she raised her jade hand lightly, a strange power filled her body. Within an inch around her body, a series of shining runes appeared. These runes directly formed a pure protective force. Then, the woman in black also stepped up the stairs, and the terrifying pressure could not stop her steps. In addition, there was the sturdy man, who stood there like a mountain, motionless. Every time he took a step, the stairs under his feet made a dull sound. The pressure fell on the man, but he seemed to be unmoved. If you look closely, you can clearly see that there are some shining runes on the surface of the man's body. This is the embodiment of the extreme strength of the physical body. The sturdy young man in front of him should be a powerful physical cultivator, who has achieved enlightenment in the physical body. At this moment, he also used the power of the physical body to the extreme and launched an attack on the top door. At this moment, many Tianjiao used their own skills without reservation. As they got higher and higher, the pressure that fell on them became more and more terrifying. If they did not respond, it would be difficult to continue to attack upwards. Li Hao was in the crowd, watching this scene, and his heart was not too disturbed. Li Hao did not pursue ranking or speed, just looked up and climbed up slowly. As time passed, some of the weaker Tianjiao had stopped. This pressure had reached the limit they could bear. Ah! There were screams, and Li Hao saw that some Tianjiao's bodies were directly shaken backwards, and then fell to their original positions. I am unwilling. There were also people who were full of unwillingness, but in the end they were still unable to persist and could only watch and give up. Soon, another hour passed. Li Hao also came to the position of the 6,000th step. Li Hao saw that Shen Bingzin and others in the front had reached the position of the 8,500th step. At their height, every step was very difficult, and they even had to stop and breathe. Seeing that they were not far from the gate, they naturally could not give up easily, and could only grit their teeth and persist. At this time, on the entire staircase, there were originally hundreds of Tianjiao, but now there are only less than 300 left. Moreover, the talents and cultivation of these remaining Tianjiao are not weak, at least they are all upper-grade earth immortals like Li Hao. Just when everyone attacked the location of the portal. On this staircase, in the real Tianxing sect, on the highest mountain, there is a huge palace. This palace stands on the cliff, surrounded by endless sea of clouds, and above the palace flows brilliant divine light, like a real fairy palace. At this moment, many people gathered in this palace. At the top, there is a huge throne, standing in the void, and sitting on it is a middle-aged man in a green robe. He has an extraordinary temperament, and his specific cultivation realm cannot be seen, but he gives people a sense of the natural way, as if he is above the heaven and earth. And this middle-aged man is the leader of the Tianxing sect, Mo Tianxing. He is also a genuine Xianxian, a 9th grade Xianxian, and is only one step away from the realm of the real immortal king. In the entire Haoshan immortal realm, a 9th grade Xianxian can be regarded as a true peak figure. When reaching the Xianxian realm above the heavenly immortal, it is no longer divided into 3 levels, upper, middle, and lower. Each major realm is divided into 9 levels, and the gap between each level is very large. In addition, there are towering figures sitting in front of Mo Tianxing, and there are more than 20 of these figures, but each of them gives people a sense of transcendence. And these people are all the people in power in the Tianxing sect, and they are all the existence of the peak masters and elders, and of course they are also people with extremely high cultivation. At this moment, the weakest person who can have a seat in this hall is also at the level of Golden Immortal. There are more than 20 top figures above the Golden Immortal, which is the foundation of this Tianxing sect. This Tianxing sect is worthy of being one of the high-level sects in the land of Yuzhu, and its strength is not to be underestimated. At this moment, all the high-ranking members of the Tianxing sect in the hall, without exception, looked into the void above the hall. In the void, there was a huge mirror, and a clear picture appeared in the mirror. On the picture, there were geniuses using various methods to climb the ladder to heaven. Obviously, this mirror is a treasure that can play the images on the stairs in real time. The 2 little guys from Zhengzhou are really extraordinary. It's not a big problem to climb up. In the hall, a senior member of the Tianxing sect spoke up, and the person who spoke up was a thin middle-aged man who looked to be in his 40s or 50s. He was the peak master of Lingmu Peak of the Tianxing sect, Duanmu Sen. The Tianxing sect has a total of 9 peaks: Tianjian Peak, Benli Peak, Hanti Peak, Lingmu Peak, Daiquan Peak, Xian Peak, Hutu Peak, Yuna Peak, 9 peaks. Well, it's not a big problem to climb up, but I don't know how the bloodline power and Dao Bone are. At this time, on the other side, another old man in a grey robe said, and this old man was Chu Hangzi, the peak master of Daiquan Peak of the Tianxing sect. Bloodline power, as the name implies, is the power in the bloodline. When it reaches the level of immortals, the potential in the bloodline will be completely stimulated, and the strength of the bloodline largely determines the upper limit of a cultivator's future. When a cultivator reaches an extremely high and powerful realm, he will also have his own bloodline power in his body, thus passing on his own cultivation talent to the next generation. As for Deo bone, it is an extremely magical thing, and its full name is called Deo bone. A cultivator with Deo bone is even rarer than a cultivator with bloodline power. It is the root bone of a true immortal cultivator, and it also determines whether a cultivator can truly prove the Deo. Therefore, in the Haitian immortal realm, no matter which sect, when selecting disciples, the bloodline power and Deo bone are the most important, and they are often tested and screened. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Tien Taido. Chapter 586. At this moment, in this hall, the senior officials of Tianxing sect are all paying attention to the situation on the ladder. In fact, some people are already talking about the talents of these geniuses. The bloodline power of the girl from the Shen family should not be weak. I don't know what level she can reach. And that bone, if it can reach the top level, she can become a core disciple. At this time, another burly middle-aged man said. Standing there, this man gave people a very violent and domineering feeling. Purple thunder seemed to be flowing on its body. And this middle-aged man is the peak master of Ben Li Peak, Zhao Tianli. Core disciple? No, 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 if her Taoist bones can reach the top level, I will directly accept her as a direct disciple. At this time, a beautiful woman spoke out again. She looked like she was in her 30s, but her body was filled with a pure temperament. And she is surprisingly the peak master of Jade Girl Peak, Xiao Yuru, who is also a powerful figure at the level of a mysterious immortal. At this moment, Xiao Yuru was unabashedly optimistic about Shen Bingzin and wanted to accept him as his direct disciple. This can be said to be the beginning of poaching people in front of so many senior leaders of Tianxing sect. Junior sister Xiao, you have 6 direct disciples. Why don't you give this girl Shen to me? At this time, Duan Muzan, the thin leader of Lingmu Peak, also spoke out. Steal people. Chiguakyo robs people. Senior brother Duan Mu, why would you accept a girl like this old man? This girl is so beautiful, so she is naturally the most suitable to come to our Jade Girl Peak. What's more, what if there are 6 disciples? Can't you accept any more? Han Taifeng's senior brother Leng has 9 direct disciples. Hearing Duan Muzan's words, Xiao Yuruo, the peak master of Jade Girl Peak, immediately became unhappy and said directly. I said you two, after all, are the masters of the same peak, why are you so restless? If you want to accept someone as a disciple, you should at least ask for their own opinions. We can't force others. It's impossible for others to want it. It's not necessary to worship me at Daiquan Peak. At this time, Chu Hangzi from Daiquan Peak said again, obviously very interested in Shen Bingzin. This Shen Bingzin is a member of the Shen family in Zhongzhou, and the Shen family behind it is also a powerful force. If they can accept this Shen Bingzin as a disciple, they can use Shen Bingzin's identity to make friends with the Shen family in disguise. I think the 4th guy is pretty good, so don't try to fight against me. At this time, Sun Qinqin, the peak master of Tianjian Peak, also spoke out. Sun Qinqin looked like an old man wearing a grey robe. He looked very ordinary and showed no aura of cultivation, but he gave people an immeasurable sense of depth. Feeling. At this moment, Sun Qinqin's eyes were looking at the young man in white robe who was carrying the sword on the stairs. It could be seen at a glance that the young man was a sword cultivator, and his talent should be very strong. Sun Qinqin felt that he was very suitable to come to his world. In Jianfeng, most of the people in Tianjin are sword cultivators, and he himself is also a powerful sword cultivator. Even within the entire Tianxing sect, if his swordsmanship is ranked second, no one else dare to be number one. Then I booked the fifth guy. Lei Dao, the leader of Benli Peak, also spoke out. He was optimistic about one person, the strong and powerful young man. He saw the potential of a powerful physical practitioner in that young man. As long as he trained this guy well, he would have a promising future. Guess, so at this moment he also spoke out and started grabbing people, for fear that this guy would be snatched away by other people. I've also taken a liking to this guy. Why don't you give it to me, Lord Lei Feng? At this time, a voice came from the side. It was the peak master of the thick earth peak, who also took a liking to this sturdy young man. Huh? Give it to you? That's absolutely impossible. Hearing this, the Lei Dao frowned, became unhappy instantly, and said coldly. Can you teach me well if I leave it to you? Don't let a good seedling go to waste. As soon as Lei Dao said these words, the peak master of thick earth peak was immediately unhappy and said angrily, Lei Dao, what do you mean? The peak master of Hutu Peak had already directly called Lei Dao by his name, his voice filled with a hint of evil. Don't you know what I mean? Lei Dao's face condensed, and he said in a deep voice. He could feel the unkindness in the voice of the master of the thick earth peak, and he was not polite at all. At the same time, a powerful cultivation aura erupted directly from Lei Dao's body, and he seemed to be about to fight if he disagreed. Confrontation. The peak master of Benli Peak and the two people from Hutu Peak were tit for tat, trying to steal people. Of course, it was not just the two of them, the other peak masters also had some verbal disputes over accepting a good disciple. All right. But at this moment, another magnificent sound resounded in this space, echoed in the sky, and reached everyone's ears. The sound was not loud, but it was filled with an unquestionable sound. Following the sound, I saw that the person who made the sound was the figure sitting on the front seat. The leader of the Tianxing sect, Mo Tianxing, is a powerful person in the 9th grade Xianxian realm and the most powerful person in the Tianxing sect. As soon as Mo Tianxing's voice came out, the peak leaders nearby stopped talking, and the scene immediately became quiet. Just listen to what Mo Tianxing said again. You have all been practicing for hundreds or thousands of years, can't you be more stable? If you want to snatch someone, you have to let them climb up and test it first. Besides, we are all from the same section. If you want to recruit relatives and pass on disciples, you have to ask these little guys for their own opinions, right? Mo Tianxing's words made the Tianxing sect's strong men at the scene quiet down instantly, and they said nothing. They naturally had to give face to their own sect master. Besides, what he said made sense. So everyone focused on the ladder again. On the ladder, the geniuses from various regions were still climbing up vigorously. Those in the front had already reached the position of about 9,000 steps, and were only more than 1,000 steps away from the 10,000 steps where the portal was located. However, the remaining distance was the most difficult. Even Shen Bingzin, Wang Daifa, and others who were in the lead had almost used their own strength to the limit. And with their height, the pressure here has become extremely terrifying. Moreover, at this point, it is not only a test of the cultivation realm and the physical body, but also more about the test of will. Li Hao still climbed up firmly. Relying on his own cultivation power, Li Hao has now reached the position of the 7,000th step. The terrifying pressure fell on Li Hao, making Li Hao's face a little red, but Li Hao's eyes were extremely firm, and every step was very steady. At this moment, the Tianjiao on this step has not even reached the initial 2/3, unable to withstand this powerful pressure, and thus gave up. Li Hao walked step by step, and everything around him seemed to have nothing to do with him. Li Hao could clearly feel the terrifying oppressive force on his body, which made the immortal power in his body flow slowly. Every step was very difficult. Li Hao had already reached his limit with the power of cultivation alone. However, Li Hao still did not use other powers. It is better to be low-key. As long as you can pass the test and become a member of the Tianxing sect, it will be fine. Anyway, I have the system, so I don't need any master's guidance. My cultivation level is not as good as those in front of me, but my cultivation is much stronger than most of the cultivators in the same realm. Moreover, as he climbed up step by step with the heavy pressure, Li Hao made a very surprising discovery. That is, as he climbed up, as the heavy pressure continued to act on his body, his cultivation power became even stronger under this heavy pressure. That's right, his cultivation became stronger, and even the fairy power in his body became much purer. Although the realm remained unchanged, his cultivation was much stronger. Li Hao's climbing speed also became much slower. Of course, some of the people in the front could not bear it anymore and stopped. They needed to adapt for a while before they could continue to climb. Li Hao was still walking up steadily without rushing. 7,100 steps, 7,200 steps, 7,300 steps. As Li Hao climbed, his speed was not fast, but he was steady and persistent. The geniuses who were in front of him were also surpassed by him. When Li Hao came to the 7,500th step, he had moved from the back to the 50th place. Shen Bingzhen and others at the front were still a little more than 9,000 steps, less than 9,100. Is it the limit? At a certain moment, Li Hao muttered. Li Hao found that he could not take the next step with the power of cultivation. Li Hao had a hunch that if he took the next step by force, he would be hit hard by the backlash. Li Hao looked up and looked at his head again. But it was at this moment. Ah! Suddenly, a scream came from the back. Just when someone was puzzled, a roar came from the back. What's going on? Why are the steps gone? Ah! Climb up quickly. Does this ladder have a time limit? These voices came from the mouths of the geniuses who were climbing at the back. Some people looked back along the sound and immediately saw a scene that shocked them. They saw that the ladder was slowly dissipating from the bottom to the top, from the back. That's right, it was dissipating, and it turned into nothingness. The ladder started to dissipate directly from the bottom step, from the bottom to the top, and in the blink of an eye, hundreds of steps had dissipated, and it was still dissipating upwards. This scene happened very abruptly, and even caught everyone off guard. They thought that they only needed to climb up the ladder, and they never thought that the ladder would dissipate. It turns out that the existence of this ladder also has a time limit. All of a sudden, these geniuses who were walking at the back became anxious. Ah! I want to join the Tianxing sect. I don't want to be eliminated. For a moment, the geniuses at the back went completely crazy, desperately climbing up, fearing that they would be caught up by the speed of dissipation. They must climb up the ladder before it completely dissipates. However, as this sudden scene happened, these geniuses were already in disarray, and their mentality also changed directly. No matter how hard these geniuses worked, their climbing speed did not increase much. On the other hand, the speed of dissipation of the stairs is getting faster and faster, and the position of dissipation is also getting higher and higher. In just a few breaths, another 200 steps had dissipated. Although they are still some distance away from the position of these geniuses, if this continues, they will be caught up very quickly. Li Hao also glanced behind him and frowned slightly. Has this ladder actually begun to dissipate? This was something Li Hao didn't expect either. If this continues... Li Hao murmured, but there was a sparkle in his eyes. The next moment, the power of the demon god began to circulate in Li Hao's body. The essence and blood of the demon god merged into the body, causing the strength of Li Hao's body to directly transform at this moment, and the aura on his body also increased instantly, becoming more powerful. Boom. Immediately afterwards, Li Hao stepped out again. Bang. A dull sound resounded, and Li Hao stepped directly on the next step. Then, another step, and another. Li Hao's speed increased even more, chasing those in front. Although he used the power of the demon god, Li Hao still didn't attract much attention. Because it was not just Li Hao who started to use his own trump card, whether it was the geniuses in front or the guys behind, they all showed their ability to win the bottom of the box at this moment. Soon, Li Hao arrived at the 8,000th level. In front of Li Hao, there were less than 20 people, and all of them were immortals. The worst ones were low-grade immortals. Li Hao was an exception. Shen Bingzin at the front has reached level 9200 again. The people following him are still Wang Daifa, and then the young man in white with a sword on his back. At a certain moment, even Shen Bingzin stopped. At this moment, Shen Bingzin's face also looked a little solemn, but her eyes were still firm. If you can't even climb this ladder, what qualifications do you have to join Tianxing sect and become a disciple of Tianxing sect? Shen Bingzin thought so in her heart. Moreover, as the proud daughter of the royal family of Zhongzhou, she not only wanted to climb up, but she also wanted to climb up in the most dazzling manner. Shen Bingzin looked at the remaining few hundred steps, with another sharp light sprouting in her eyes. The next moment, Shen Bingzin's hands quickly formed seals. I have a lotus seed, which grows flowers when it touches water. While forming the seal, Shen Bingzin muttered something. And as Shen Bingzin's seal was born, a bright light appeared on Shen Bingzin's palm. The light condensed into a ball, like a radiant seed. Then, the shining light burst out and shone in all directions. Everyone was surprised to see that the seed in Shen Bingzin's hand sprouted instantly and then grew rapidly. In an instant, a lotus flower was born. The lotus is a gentleman among flowers. It emerges from the mud but is not stained, and washes the ripples clear without being evil. As Shen Bingzin finished speaking, a huge and bright lotus blossomed. At the same time, Shen Bingzin, who was holding the lotus flower, was shrouded in the holy light at this moment. Bathed in the holy light, she became extremely holy. She was like a fairy descending from the 9 heavens. Boom! At this moment, Shen Bingzin's aura began to rise instantly, reaching an extremely terrifying level. Everyone was even more shocked to see that the lotus turned into a green lotus in the next moment, as if it had merged with Shen Bing's heart. Green Lotus Immortal Technique. This is the immortal method practiced by Shen Bingzin. At this moment again, a majestic shadow also appeared on Shen Bingzin's body. The specific shape of the shadow could not be seen clearly. Although it was just an outline, it shone with endless divine light. At the moment it appeared, the whole world seemed to be filled with confusion. The shock. At this moment, Shen Bingzin's temperament also changed, becoming solemn and solemn, as if he was transcending the avenue. Shen Bingzin's aura also skyrocketed, from a low-grade heavenly immortal to a level comparable to a first-grade golden immortal. Just when Shen Bingzin was using the Green Lotus Immortal technique and this phantom outline appeared on his body, in the main hall on the highest mountain of Tianxing sect, Mo Tianxing and other senior officials of Tianxing sect were also shocked. There was a look of surprise in his eyes. This is Dharmakaya. The Qinglian Dharmakaya of the Shen family. The 98th Qinglian Dharmakaya among the 108 Dharmakaya immortal appearances. I didn't expect that Shen Bingzin could actually condense the Qinglian Dharma body, which is quite impressive. For a moment, surprised voices suddenly came from the mouths of these peak masters and elders. Mo Tianxing and others had extraordinary experience, and naturally recognized that the power Shen Bingzin was exerting at this moment was beyond the scope of ordinary immortal magic, but was exerting a powerful Dharma body. And this Dharma body is surprisingly the Qinglian Dharma body, which ranks 98th among the 108 Dharma bodies and immortal forms. It is also the most powerful immortal Dharma of the Shen family in Zhongzhou. The Dharmakaya immortal appearance is a power that only the strong in the fairy land can exert, and only the strong in the fairy land can release the power of the Dharmakaya immortal appearance. It is said that there are many kinds of Dharmakaya immortal appearances between heaven and earth, and each kind of Dharmakaya immortal appearance has the power to destroy the heaven and earth. To be precise, there are 108 known Dharmakaya immortal appearances. Of course, there are some unknown ones, but among these 108 Dharmakaya immortal appearances, the higher the ranking, the more powerful it is. Each Dharmakaya immortal appearance can directly allow cultivators to have the power to cross borders and fight. However, in this continent, and even in the entire fairy land, there are very few cultivators who can possess a Dharmakaya immortal appearance, and some people even pursue it for a lifetime and cannot get it. If you want to have a Dharmakaya immortal appearance, you must have a chance against the sky to get it. In front of us, this Shen Bingzin displayed a Dharmakaya immortal appearance, which is a very surprising thing. Normally, the Dharmakaya immortal appearance cannot be taken away, because the Dharmakaya immortal appearance will also choose its master. However, there is a situation where there is a certain chance of obtaining the Dharmakaya immortal appearance, and that is blood inheritance. Shen Bingzin in front of him is obviously one of them. Seeing that Shen Bingzin actually displayed a Dharmakaya, the high-level officials of the Tianxing sect were naturally extremely surprised, and some people even had an undisguised envy in their eyes. Because, among these people present, most, or even the vast majority do not have the Dharmakaya immortal appearance, which is such a sad thing. Of course, there are people who have the Dharmakaya immortal appearance in the entire Tianxing sect. In front of him, Mo Tianxing is one, and perhaps the only one. As for what kind of Dharmakaya immortal appearance Mo Tianxing is practicing, few people know, because Mo Tianxing has not made a move for a long time. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 587. It's not bad. I have already cultivated the rudimentary form of Dharmakaya. Mo Tianxing looked at the scene and said calmly. Shen Bingzin has already condensed the prototype of Qinglian Dharmakaya, and it is only a matter of time before it is completely condensed. It was at this time that Shen Bingzin was using the Green Lotus Immortal technique to display the Green Lotus Dharma body. Li Hao felt an inexplicable throbbing in his heart, as if a strange power had been aroused in his body. Li Hao felt a sense of surprise in his heart. The next moment, Li Hao understood the key point. It is the body of 8 pagodas. The 8-part Buddha body that he cultivated is also a Dharmakaya immortal form. At this moment, he felt the location of the Qinglian Dharmakaya, and it seemed that there was also a strange movement. However, it was only for a moment. It seemed that the Green Lotus Dharmakaya had only attracted a little attention from his 8 pagoda bodies. In an instant, the 8 pagoda bodies returned to calmness, as if they no longer cared about it. It was like seeing someone of his own kind, and there was a moment of anticipation, but he soon discovered that this kind of person was too weak, and the level was much lower than his own, and then he felt a sense of pride. At this moment, Li Hao actually felt very certain. Among the 108 kinds of Dharma bodies and immortal forms, the 8-part Buddha body that he has cultivated is definitely ranked higher than the Qinglian Dharma body, or even much higher. Although Li Hao didn't know the true ranking of his Dharmakaya, he could deeply feel that his Dharmakaya was unusual. How could the things the system rewards be ordinary? 8-part pagoda body, 8-part pagoda body, even with Li Hao's current cultivation level, he can only use these 8-part pagoda body to produce 3 pagodas. If all the 8 pagodas are used, we still don't know what level of cultivation it will take. And after Shen Bingzin displayed the Qinglian Dharma body, Shen Bingzin's aura became even more powerful. Boom! Suddenly, Shen Bingzin stepped forward again, much faster than before, and soon reached the 9500th level and the 9600th level again. As she got closer and closer to the portal, Shen Bingzin still felt a strong pressure even though she used Qingli and Dharmakaya. Finally, another moment passed. Shen Bingzin's pace stopped again, stopping at the 9999th level, only one step away from the 10,000 level. Just one more step and you can step into the portal. But when everyone looked at it, for some reason, Shen Bingzin stopped at this moment. There's only one step left. She's about to board it? What's going on? Why did you stop? What's going on? Many people saw the scene and made sounds of surprise. At the same time, within Tianxing sect, in addition to the main hall, there are many peaks, and there are some figures on these peaks. These people are naturally disciples of the Tianxing sect. Regardless of whether they are outer disciples, inner disciples, or even core disciples or direct disciples, most of them are watching the scene on the stairs at this moment, expressing their gratitude towards these junior brothers and sisters who can join their Tianxing section, also looking forward to it very much. It's about asking the mind. At some point, someone said, "Have you forgotten? The last step of the ladder is to ask the mind." Yes, this situation also happened when we started. Hearing this, the other disciples suddenly remembered that they also experienced such a thing when they started. The last level is called Questioning Heart, and it is also a test. As long as you pass this test, you can directly move to the last step. Asking about the heart means asking about the heart of cultivating the Tao. This is a test of will and soul. At this moment, Shen Bingzin stood there blankly, as if she had lost her mind. Because at this moment, Shen Bingzin seemed to have fallen into another world, and everything around him became different. Everything became so blurry, like chaos, nothing could be seen clearly. Shen Bingzin didn't know what she should do or where she should go, and she became a little confused. Shen Bingzin didn't know what she should do, so she just walked aimlessly. I don't know how long she walked, but a voice rang in Shen Bingzin's ears. This voice echoed in the world and directly shocked Shen Bingzin's soul. What is your way? It was as if the world was asking questions to Shen Bingzin. What is my way? When Shen Bingzin heard this voice, she murmured again and fell into deep thought. What is her way? She couldn't help but ask herself. In other words, what kind of Tao does she practice? What is the purpose of her practicing Taoism? At this moment, Shen Bingzin couldn't help but think of the days when her mother was still by her side when she was a child. Then he recalled that he started practicing under the guidance of his father. She is one of the most talented among the younger generation of the Shen family. She has been practicing Taoism for less than 50 years, and she has directly attained enlightenment and become an immortal. Now she has been practicing for less than 100 years, but she is already a middle-grade immortal. She also has two older brothers who loved her very much when she was a child. But as she grew up, those brothers gradually alienated her and regarded her as a competitor, because her talent made them feel pressured. Shen Bingzin finally felt the sinister nature of human beings, even among relatives. When family affection is mixed with interests, family affection becomes the cheapest thing. After seeing all this, Shen Bingzin gradually wrapped herself up. Why is the world so turbid? But she didn't want to go with the flow and eventually become a person she hated. She wanted to become a green lotus that was untainted by mud and washed by clear water without being evil. Green lotus is my way. My way is untainted by mud, my way is washed by clear water without being evil, my way is independent of the world, and my way is not stained by dust. This is my way. When Shen Bingzin said this, Shen Bingzin was no longer confused, and the road ahead became clear. This is Shen Bingzin's way. Ask the heart of the way and pass. At this moment, the wind and clouds changed, and the chaotic world seemed to have a beam of light tearing through the sky, and a road of light appeared. The next moment, Shen Bingzin stepped out again and stood steadily on the 10,000 steps. There was no staircase in front of Shen Bingzin. She stepped into the door and then disappeared directly, as if she had crossed a space. Shen Bingzin was the first to climb this ladder. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 588. Shen Bingzin was the first to climb the ladder and enter the portal, passing the first level of the test. Seeing this scene, these geniuses were even more shocked. The next moment, these geniuses were like chicken blood, desperately attacking upwards. Behind Shen Bingzin, Wang Daifa was excited when he saw this scene. The woman he liked had gone up, so how could he be a drag? So. Boom. A powerful momentum suddenly burst out from Wang Daifa's body. Endless divine light flowed on Wang Daifa's body, and the divine light turned into a piece of armor, covering Wang Daifa's body. At this moment, Wang Daifa seemed like a god of war, with a shocking momentum. At the same time, a strange wave was released from Wang Daifa's body, and a towering figure appeared on Wang Daifa's body. The figure was also unclear, wearing armor, and was filled with a domineering aura, as if he wanted to step on the whole world under his feet. Dharma body. It's a Dharma body again. This Wang Daifa also has a Dharma body. Oh my god. When this scene appeared in front of everyone, whether it was the Tianjiao on the stairs or the disciples of the Tianxing sect on the mountain, they directly made extremely shocked sounds. At this moment, they felt a throbbing wave from the body of Wang Daifa in front of them. That was the Dharma body of the immortal. That's right, the kung fu and ability that Wang Daifa in front of them was now running, and it was also a Dharma body of the immortal. This is the Dharma body of the god of war of the Wang family. Someone said in a deep voice, recognizing the name of the Dharma body that Wang Daifa used, which was a Dharma body of the immortal called the god of war Dharma body. The war god Dharmakaya ranks 107th among the 108 Dharmakaya immortal appearances. Although the war god Dharmakaya ranks at the bottom, no one dares to underestimate it. Between heaven and earth, each Dharmakaya immortal appearance has its own unique features and great power. The ranking is just a reference, but it does not mean that the Dharmakaya immortal appearances ranked behind are not strong, but the ones ranked in front are stronger. The war god Dharmakaya is also the strongest Taoism of the Wang family. It is the Dharmakaya cultivated by Wang Tiansheng, the head of the Wang family. However, as one of Wang Tiansheng's sons, Wang Daifa inherited part of the power of the war god Dharmakaya in his bloodline power. After years of practice, Wang Daifa can also display the prototype of the war god Dharmakaya. The war god Dharmakaya can summon the power of the war god, and the whole person can also become a war god, which can greatly enhance the combat power of the caster. At this moment, although Wang Daifa only displayed the prototype of the war god Dharmakaya, it still made Wang Daifa's power climb to an extremely terrifying level. The next moment, Wang Daifa's steps became more and more firm, and his speed increased a lot instantly, and then he went towards the top door step by step. After a while, Wang Daifa also came to the 99,999th step, and was only one step away from the 10,000 step door. At this moment, Wang Daifa's body also appeared in the same scene as Shen Bingzin's. Wang Daifa stood at the 9,999th step, and the whole person stopped, and he could not take the last step. At this moment, around Wang Daifa, it also turned into a chaotic void. Wang Daifa, what is your Tao? A magnificent voice also came into Wang Daifa's ears, making Wang Daifa seem to be in a state of confusion. This voice hit the heart directly, making Wang Daifa not know how to answer, and the whole person seemed to be in a fog. This voice seemed to be asking Wang Daifa a question. Ask the heart of Tao. Wang Daifa is indeed the proud son of the Zhongzhou Wang family. After a while, he walked out of the mist. My way is the way of the god of war, invincible and unstoppable. Wang Daifa's voice came out, and this was his answer. His Dharma body is the Dharma body of the god of war, and the way he cultivates is also the way of the god of war, the invincible way. As Wangdeafa's voice came out, the voice in the sky did not respond, but the barrier in front of Wangdeafa's body seemed to disappear. Wangdeafa also climbed up the 10,000 steps and then stepped into the portal. Obviously, Wangdeafa also passed the test of the first level. Wangdeafa became the second person to climb this ladder. As Shen Bingzin and Wangdeafa passed the test, those behind them also fought for their lives and played all their trump cards. Later, as the stairs disappeared, they had already spread to more than 1,000 steps, and the speed of disappearance was visibly accelerating. The time left for those who were still climbing the stairs was running out. War God Dharma Body. Li Hao naturally felt some fluctuations caused by the Dharma body immortal appearance displayed by Wang Daofa, but what surprised Li Hao was that his 8-part Buddha body did not show any abnormal movement at this moment, as if he did not take the War God Dharma body seriously at all. Li Hao actually had a strange feeling. When Shen Bingzin's Qinglian Dharma body appeared before, his 8-part Buddha body had reacted a little, but now he saw the War God Dharma body and had no reaction at all, which seemed to be a kind of contempt. Don't you like those at the bottom of the ranking? The corners of Li Hao's mouth twitched slightly, as if he understood the reason why his 8-part Buddha body was like this. But soon, Li Hao's eyes fell on the woman walking at the top again. The woman in black with a veil. At this moment, after Wang Daofa climbed up the 10,000 steps, the woman wearing black clothes and a veil came to the front. I didn't see any abnormal fluctuations on this woman's body, but this woman seemed to be very relaxed, not resisting the pressure at all, and then she went to the 9,999th level in an understatement. Location. This scene appeared in the eyes of everyone, and they were stunned again. Why did she walk so easily? This is the last step. Can't she feel the pressure at all? It's really a hidden dragon and a crouching tiger. What is this woman's identity? Why is her face covered? It looks like she looks pretty good. Immediately, someone else made a sound of surprise, and they were also very curious about this woman wearing black clothes and covering her jade face. No one saw anything unusual, but surprisingly, Li Hao's heart was suddenly shocked. Because, at this moment, my 8-part Buddha body also produced a strange movement. This strange movement was actually a little more intense than the moment when the green lotus body appeared before. Under the influence of the 8 Buddha body, Li Hao felt something that no one else could feel. It's not that this masked woman in black didn't do anything. Instead, a strange power appeared on this woman's body. The power seemed to wrap up her entire body. It seemed to form an invisible barrier, but it directly blocked the pressure that existed between heaven and earth. Offsetting it at this moment made it seem like she couldn't feel the pressure. Is it another Dharmakaya immortal? Li Hao's eyes flashed with a strange color, and he murmured, and there was a hint of surprise in his heart. This is known as the most miraculous Taoist method in the world and the most elusive power. There are only 108 kinds of Dharmakaya and immortal appearances in the world. It is such a rare thing to meet 3 of them here. I wonder if anyone else has it? The black-clothed woman in front of me had also exerted the power of a Dharma body immortal. However, this Dharma body immortal was not directly seen by these people. Only Li Hao, who also had the Dharma body immortal, could clearly feel it. Of course, Li Hao didn't know whether this was true for all people with Dharmakaya's immortal appearance, or whether he could only perceive it if he had the 8-part Buddha body. It seems like the world is about to change. At the same time, after Shen Bingzin, Wang Daofa, and the woman in black showed their Dharma body immortal appearances one after another, in the main hall of Tianxing Sect's main peak, Mo Tianxing, who was sitting on the main seat, said. When their cultivation reaches his level, their perception of the great avenues of heaven and earth has also become extremely keen. They can sense some unusual things, especially for unknown things, and have an extremely keen perception. At this moment, when he saw the three Dharma bodies and immortal appearances on the three prodigies in front of him, he suddenly had a strange and keen intuition in his heart. That is, the world will change. Heaven and earth will change, and chaos will arise. Perhaps, it won't be long before the entire Haoshan immortal domain, and even the entire Hongmeng universe, will become chaotic. This woman in black quickly reached the 9999th level as the invisible power in her body was exerted. Then, he asked about his mind again. From the outside looking in, the woman in black only stayed for 2 or 3 breaths at the 9999th level, then she stepped out directly, and then stood firmly on the 9999th level. Above the steps. Obviously, this woman also passed the test of asking questions, and I don't know how she answered. Immediately after the woman, there was the tall and muscular young man. At this moment, the young man's clothes had exploded, revealing his steel-like body, and on his body, there were rune patterns visible to the naked eye. The runes shone with divine light, giving people a feeling of being as motionless as a mountain, full of an explosive force of terror. This young man is obviously a physical practitioner, and has even reached the level of physical enlightenment. If one day in the future, he can cultivate to the point where his physical body becomes a saint, he will be able to shatter the galaxy with one punch. At this moment, endless runes were swirling around the young man's body, and divine light was flowing. He forcefully carried the terrifying pressure to the last step. High-speed rail. What is your path? Similarly, a sound coming from the sky like a highway echoed in the young man's ears. The young man's name is High-Speed Rail. Hearing this voice, Jo Tai said without any doubt, my body is the Tao. A simple word, but it revealed a powerful determination and unparalleled belief. High-Speed Rail is confident that it will be able to do what it says it will do. As Gao Tai's words fell, his steps also fell, the last step. The next moment, the tall figure of the high-speed rail also entered the portal and disappeared. Then, there was the young man in white with a long sword on his back. This young man is very handsome, even comparable to Li Hao. He has sharp features and an extraordinary temperament. He looks like a sharp sword. At this moment, on this young man's body, there was a rain of swords all over the sky. The rain of swords rose and flowed around his body. The sharp sword energy filled the air, as if a path to the sky was cut out in front of him. Just like this, the young man stepped up into the sky and soon arrived at the 9999th level. What is your way? When that voice also echoed in his ears, the young man carrying the sword simply answered with one word. Sword. He is a sword cultivator, and the way he practices swordsmanship is naturally the sword. People are like swords, swords are like people, people and swords merge into one, slaying the sky and destroying the earth. This is his way. The next moment, the young man's figure also directly entered the portal and disappeared. Next, many geniuses, after using their powerful trump cards, asked Daoxian and then entered the portal. Li Hao looked at this scene, but he was not in a hurry. At this moment, Li Hao finally reached the 9000 level position. At this moment, Li Hao could clearly feel that the pressure here had doubled. Li Hao glanced behind him lightly again. The dissipating stairs had already reached the 7000 steps. Some geniuses had already fallen down because of the dissipation of the stairs and were directly eliminated. The remaining people at this moment, already less than 100 people. The next moment, in Li Hao's body, the power of the demon god's bloodline circulated with all its strength, and a powerful demon aura filled the air from Li Hao's body. Although he is a human being, he is demonic and extraordinary. At this moment, a huge figure appeared on Li Hao's body. What's that? Isn't it another Dharmakaya immortal? It shouldn't be the immortal appearance of Dharma body. It doesn't look like it. Is it true that the immortal appearance of Dharmakaya is just a cabbage? Everyone has it. Dot. Many people's eyes fell on Li Hao again, and they made surprised sounds. It's not the Dharma body and immortal form. It's just the phantom of a demon god. In the main hall of Tianxing sect, someone from the Peak Masters spoke up. They had extraordinary experience and naturally recognized at a glance that what Li Hao was displaying at this moment was not the immortal appearance of the Dharma body, but the phantom shadow of the demon god. It is indeed just a shadow of the demon god? He should have the power of the demon god. However, it is a bit rare for a human monk to possess the power of the demon god. Next to him, someone said again, the person who spoke was an old man, also a peak master, Han Li, the peak master of the 9 peaks. What's rare is that it's just a touch of the power of the demon god. As a human monk, if you cultivate the power of the demon god and follow other ways, you won't be able to go far if you are not on the right path. At this time, someone else said, with a touch of disdain in his voice, obviously not taking Li Hao seriously, and this person was Chu Hangzi from Daiquan Peak. After hearing this, the 9 Peaks Master Han Li didn't say much, but there was a hint of wisdom in his eyes, and he didn't know what he was thinking. Li Hao naturally didn't know that his use of the power of the demon god at this moment also attracted the attention of the senior officials of Tianxing sect, but he did not attract the attention of these senior officials. At this moment, Li Hao has already used the power of the demon god to the extreme. After summoning the phantom of the demon god, both Li Hao's physical body and the strength of his cultivation have been horribly improved in an instant. When Li Hao exerted such power, this coercion could no longer stop Li Hao from moving forward. After a while, Li Hao also arrived at the 9999th level. What is your way? Li Hao's ears also heard a voice that seemed to come from the 9 heavens. This voice echoed in Li Hao's mind, making Li Hao's mind shake and unable to calm down. Li Hao couldn't help but ask himself, what is my way? What is my way? At this moment, Li Hao also fell into deep contemplation. He was even a little confused and didn't know the way forward. What path have you cultivated? Kendo. Formation path? Alchemy. Laideo? It seems that I can do anything. With a system in place, I can practice any way. Why does it have to be just one? Suddenly, Li Hao's spirit was shaken again, and his whole body suddenly became clear and clear, as if the clouds had cleared and the sun appeared. All dharmas in the world can all achieve enlightenment, thousands of ways are all my way. I am the Tao. Li Hao said in a deep voice, but his voice was filled with unparalleled belief. And as Li Hao's words fell, there seemed to be storms in the sky. The next moment, Li Hao stepped directly on the 10,000 steps. Immediately, Li Hao's figure entered the portal and disappeared directly like another world. After passing this first test, you can be considered as entering the immortal sect. After Li Hao entered this portal, there were some geniuses who also completed the first test, but the number was not large, only about 30, because the ladder dissipated from bottom to top. They were exhausted and no chance was given to the other geniuses. Once an opportunity is missed, it is completely missed. The reason why Tianxing sect has been able to stand on the land of Yuzhu for thousands of years is that it attaches great importance to the selection of disciples, which can be said to be the best among the best. When Li Hao entered the portal, he felt the scene in front of him change, and then suddenly he was enlightened. This place seemed to be the real fairyland. In front of him, there were fairy mountains and forests, and among the misty clouds, there were some jade buildings and fairy palaces standing on the peaks. It was clear that there were some auspicious animals such as bluebirds and cranes flying in the sky, and the sky was full of rosy clouds. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 589. The scene in front of them caused a wave of excitement in the minds of the geniuses present. This is Tianxing sect. In front of you is a huge square. This square is like a mountain gate, connecting various mountain peaks. At this moment, there are less than 100 geniuses standing on this square, and the geniuses who can come forward are all extremely talented people. In front, there are some stone pillars with magical lines on them, and the power of the avenue is revealed on the lines. Everyone saw that there were some figures standing next to the stone pillars. These figures were all wearing white robes with the words Tianxing on them. They were obviously the uniform clothes of the Tianxing sect. However, at this moment, in Li Hao's eyes, a red exclamation mark appeared above the stone pillar. Prompt information. It finally appeared again, and it was also the first time I came to this world. Li Hao couldn't help but feel shocked. The next moment, Li Hao clicked on the exclamation point without hesitation. Ding dong, check the information, please pay 10,000 spirit stones, click confirm or reject. Immediately, the mechanical sound of the system suddenly sounded in Li Hao's mind. Hearing the sound of the system, Li Hao felt a strange emotion in his heart. Now I want to check the prompt information, but it turns out that I have to pay spiritual stones, 10,000 spiritual stones. Before, I paid soft girl coins. Is it because he is now in the world of immortals? Li Hao thought so in his heart. Spirit stones, just spirit stones. Anyway, the system just rewarded me with 100 million top-grade spirit stones last time, which was too much to use up. Therefore, Li Hao clicked confirm without any hesitation. Ding dong, this is the spiritual Dao pillar, which can test the monk's talent and Dao bone level with the host's current qualifications. It would be embarrassing to go up there. In order not to embarrass the system, the host is asked to give up the test. In the system world, Li Hao's spiritual stones were directly reduced by 10,000, and then the system prompt sound came. When Li Hao heard the system prompt tone, he was speechless. What? Let yourself give up on the next test? Is it embarrassing to go up there? Grass. Hey, system, what you said is a bit hurtful. Our talent isn't that bad, right? Li Hao couldn't help but said to the system again. Li Hao also wanted to give it a good test and try to become a core disciple of Dang Dang. You must know that disciples with different statuses enjoy different sect treatment and benefits. As the saying goes, people go to higher places and water flows to lower places. When it is time to fight for it, fight for it. Objectively speaking, it's really that bad. Please ask the host to give up the test, and you will get unexpected gains. The system sound then sounded. Well, there's a reward for giving up. Then there's nothing to hesitate about. Hearing this, Li Hao's eyes lit up and he was already looking forward to the rewards from the system. At this time again, an old man, with white hair and a childish face, stood in the void, with his hands behind his back, and his aloof temperament. Congratulations everyone, you have passed the entry test of my Tianxing sect. The old man looked at everyone and said with a smile. After hearing the old man's words, everyone's hearts also felt strange. Passed the entry test? Does this mean that they have already joined the Tianxing sect? Seeing everyone's expressions, the old man could tell what everyone was thinking at a glance, and immediately said slowly, from the moment you climbed up this ladder and stepped into this portal, you were already considered my heavenly beings. A disciple of Seeing Zone. However, the disciples of my Tianxing sect include handyman disciples, outer disciples, inner disciples, and even core disciples, as well as direct disciples of the sect masters and peak masters. It depends on what kind of disciple you want to be. Your next performance. As the old man's voice came out again, everyone was surprised again. In other words, the assessment is not over yet. Of course I want to be my direct disciple. I don't want to be just a little handyman. I am here for sect master MO this time. I must become sect master Mo's personal disciple. One after another exciting voices continued to come from the mouths of these geniuses. The people present were all extremely talented and arrogant people. How could they be willing to be just a small servant disciple or an outer disciple? Different identities naturally have different statuses and treatment, and the gap is huge. The 9 stone pillars in front of you are specially designed to test your talents and moral integrity. Inject your spiritual power into them and you can test them. The opportunity is here. If you want to become a direct disciple or a core disciple, show your potential. What are you waiting for? Let's get started. I heard the old man say in a deep voice again. As the old man finished speaking, the expressions of these geniuses became uncontrollably excited. Immediately, a prodigy walked towards the stone pillars in front, and at the front of the 9 stone pillars, there was a stone platform half a man high, with the outline of a palm print on the stone platform. The one walking at the front is Wangdeafa. Directly under the gaze of everyone, Wangdeafa placed his palm on the outline of the palm print on the stone platform. In an instant, everyone saw that the lines that originally existed on the first stone pillar behind the stone burst out with dazzling spiritual light at this moment. Boom! The light was shining brightly, starting from the stone pillar closest to the stone platform, then the second stone pillar, and the third stone pillar, all of which were shining with different degrees of light at this moment. Finally, there were a total of 9 stone pillars, but 6 of them had light emerging. The 6 stone pillars were of different colors, and the light on the stone pillar shining with yellow light was the most dazzling and eye-catching. And the next moment, some words appeared on the stone pillar, like numbers, and there were even strange patterns rising and flowing around Wangdeafa's body, making Wangdeafa look a little extraordinary. But this scene appeared in front of everyone, especially the disciples of the Tianxing sect, and they immediately exclaimed. 6 of them are lit up, what a strong talent! The gold attribute is at least top grade. There are few people who can light up more than 6 of these 9 dragon pillars. I'm afraid a core disciple will be indispensable. It is even very likely that the sect master and the peak master will take a fancy to them and become their personal disciple. The old man who saw the scene also focused his eyes. The 9 stone pillars in front of him were called the 9 dragon pillars, which could test a cultivator's talent. It is very rare to light up 6 of the 9 dragon pillars. Looking at the entire Tianxing sect, there are less than 30 such people. The next moment, the old man announced the result. Zhongzhou Wang Dao Fa, top grade talent, heaven grade Dao Bone, can be a core disciple. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 590. As the old man finished speaking, the disciples of Tianxing sect immediately made shocking voices. Superior talent, heavenly Taoist bone. He is a core disciple right after he entered the sect. He is really amazing. This guy is indeed from Zhongzhou. Our Tianxing sect has gained another demon genius. Accompanied by the uproarious voices, Wangdeafa has undoubtedly become the focus of the whole audience. Talent is divided into low grade, medium grade, high grade, and extreme grade, super grade talent, which can be seen from the degree of shining light on the 9 dragon pillar. As for the Taoist bone, it is divided into ordinary grade, earth grade, heaven grade, holy grade, and divine grade. It is unknown what it is above the divine grade. Wangdeafa, are you willing to enter my Hanti Peak and teach me personally? But at this moment, a magnificent voice resounded in this space again, echoing in the ears of everyone, and could not dissipate for a long time. It's the leader of Hanti Peak, who wants to take him as his personal disciple. This guy is too lucky. Ah, I wish I could be taken as a personal disciple someday. When the voice of the leader of Hanti Peak came out, the disciples of Tianxing sect on the peaks of Tianxing sect all exclaimed in amazement, and their voices were filled with envy. There are very few disciples in the Tianxing sect who can be taken as personal disciples by the sect leader and the peak leaders of the peaks. It can be said that they are truly one in a million. Not only the disciples of Tianxing sect are envious of this, but also the geniuses who are taking the test with Wang Daifa also cast envious eyes on Wang Daifa. When Wang Daifa heard this voice, his expression was also shocked. Being taken as a personal disciple by the peak leader of Tianxing sect, although not the sect leader, is also a very rare thing. I do. Wang Daifa said directly and agreed. Immediately, Wang Daifa stood aside, but his eyes were looking at a woman behind him. Bingzin, it's your turn. Wang Daifa said to Shen Bingzin, his eyes full of expectation. But Shen Bingzin ignored Wang Daifa. Her expression did not change at all, and then she walked straight forward. Soon, Shen Bingzin also came to the front of the stone platform. Without any hesitation, Shen Bingzin also put her palm on the stone platform. Boom! At this moment, it seemed that an invisible force was surging, sucking the spiritual power in Shen Bingzin's body. Suddenly, another extremely strong light burst out from the stone pillar behind. One after another, in a moment, 5 of the 9 stone pillars lit up, and then 6, and the degree of the light shining was still increasing. However, this time it was no longer yellow like Wang Daifa just now, but blue. This is because the attributes are different. Oh my god, 6 more lights have been lit. Another demon. With this talent, will there be another direct disciple? As expected of a member of the Shen family in Zhongzhou. She is so beautiful. She is rare in our entire immortal sect. I am afraid she will be pursued by many senior brothers. A series of exclamations came from the mouths of the Tianxing sect members. At this moment, Shen Bingzin became the focus of the whole audience, even more than Wang Daifa just now. However, just as they finished speaking, buzz! On the 9-dragon pillar, another stone pillar burst out with brilliant light. The 7th one. At this moment, 7 of the 9 stone pillars of the 9-dragon pillar lit up. Boom! What? 7 of them lit up. Oh my god, what a terrifying talent. In our entire immortal sect, the number of demons who can light up 7 of the 9 dragon pillars during the entrance examination can be counted on one hand. This is simply too strong. Shocking voices came from every corner of the Tianxing sect, and everyone was shocked by the scene before their eyes. As Shen Bingzin lit up the 7 stone pillars. Beside the stone pillars, the white-robed man who presided over the test also had a bright look in his eyes, and then announced the result directly. Zhongzhou, Shen Bingzin, a natural talent, a Taoist bone of heaven. At this moment, in the hall of the main peak, the high-level leaders of the Tianxing sect saw the scene in front of them through the projection, and they were originally calm, but at this moment, they also had some fluctuations in their hearts. This girl from the Shen family is really a surprise. The head of Daiquan Peak, Chu Hangzi, said in a deep voice, "This girl's talent is water attribute, which is very suitable for me to teach. My personal disciple is her." What do you mean by personal disciple is her? You are an old man teaching a beautiful disciple, don't mislead the students. I think, let her come to my Yun Peak. I can also directly accept her as a personal disciple. At this time, a woman dressed like a beautiful woman not far away spoke directly. It was Xiao Yuru, the head of Yun Peak, who wanted to snatch people directly. Xiao Yuru, what do you mean? How can I mislead the students? Hearing this, Chu Hangzi, the head of Daiquan Peak, was immediately unhappy and said directly. What do I mean? What I mean is that you are not worthy of being her master. Xiao Yuru heard Chu Hangzi's words, but she said indifferently, not taking Chu Hangzi seriously at all. Is it up to you to say whether I am worthy or not? Chu Hangzi also said angrily. At the same time, a powerful cultivation aura was released from his body. The terrifying and violent immortal power swept across, causing the wind and clouds to shake. The Xianxian strongman was so panicked. What? Do you want to fight? Am I, Xiao Yuru, afraid of an old man like you? On the other side, Xiao Yuru saw this scene, but she was not afraid at all. Boom! The powerful cultivation power also burst out from Xiao Yuru's body in an instant, with a terrifying momentum. It was also a Xianxian. The two peak masters of Tianxing sect, two Xianxian bosses, looked like they were going to fight at the moment of disagreement, and the scene became a little uncontrollable. However, the other people around were unusually calm, as if they were used to it. I say you two, if you want to fight, go outside the sect. You are all people who have lived for hundreds or thousands of years. At this time, a voice came from the side again. The person who spoke was the peak master of Tianjian Peak, who came out to smooth things over. Stop fighting. This girl, follow me to practice. However, at this time, a voice echoed in everyone's ears again. The voice was very calm, but it was filled with a hint of no doubt. When everyone heard the voice and looked, they saw the figure sitting proudly on the main seat with a calm expression. It was none other than Mo Tianxing, the leader of Tianxing sect. No one expected that Mo Tianxing would speak up, and it was clearly a way to snatch someone. Obviously, Mo Tianxing also saw Shen Bingzhen's talent and wanted to take Shen Bingzhen as his personal disciple. But everyone didn't dare to say much. Including Chu Hangzi, the head of Daiquan Peak, and Xiao Yuru, the head of Unipeak, who were speechless and uncomfortable, but did not dare to say anything. As the saying goes, the bigger the fist, the more powerful the truth. If the two of them compete with the sect master for people, wouldn't that be asking for trouble? They could only watch. The next moment, Mo Tianxing's voice echoed in the space of the entire Tianxing sect. Shen Bingzhen, are you willing to be my disciple? God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 591. Shen Bingzhen, are you willing to be my disciple? As this magnificent voice sounded, it echoed in everyone's ears. All the disciples of the Tianxing sect heard this voice and immediately exclaimed. This is the voice of Sect Master Mo. Oh my God, Sect Master Mo wants to accept her as his personal disciple. She is actually favored by Sect Master Mo. Sect Master Mo hasn't accepted a disciple for hundreds of years, right? Alas, why didn't such a thing happen to me? Exclamations came from every corner of the Tianxing section. As disciples of the Tianxing sect, they were naturally familiar with Mo Tianxing's voice. Even if they didn't have the opportunity to meet a sect leader like Mo Tianxing on weekdays, they naturally had to remember Mo Tianxing's voice. They immediately heard that this was the voice of Mo Tianxing, the sect master of the Tianxing sect. Mo Tianxing actually wanted to accept a disciple. What a shocking thing. You know, Mo Tianxing is the leader of the Tianxing sect, a real powerful figure, and even in the Xianxian realm, he is the top existence. Looking at the entire Haoshan immortal realm, there are not many such people, but he is truly standing at the top. Therefore, if you can become Mo Tianxing's direct disciple, your status is equivalent to the role of the saint and son of the Tianxing sect. Moreover, as everyone knows, Mo Tianxing has practiced for so many years, and he has only accepted 2 direct disciples. This is also when everyone in the Tianxing sect heard the voice that Mo Tianxing wanted to accept a disciple, they were shocked. Shen Bingzhen heard Mo Tianxing's voice, but did not agree at the first time. Because Shen Bingzhen didn't know who the other party was. Excuse me, senior, who are you? Shen Bingzhen asked directly. What? When everyone heard Shen Bingzhen's words, they couldn't help but be stunned. She was actually asking for a name. Oh my God. Even Mo Tianxing was stunned when he heard Shen Bingzhen's question, but then a faint smile appeared on his face. I am Mo Tianxing. Then, a magnificent voice resounded between the heaven and earth again. Shen Bingzin was shocked again when she heard this voice. Shen Bingzin naturally knew the name of the leader of Tianxing sect, and she was also surprised. The leader of Tianxing sect wanted to accept her as a personal disciple, which was something that could not be encountered but could not be sought. It was really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and very rare. Such a good opportunity could not be refused. I do. The next moment, Shen Bingzin's voice came out directly. Okay. After Mo Tianxing replied with only one word, he was very pleased and did not say anything more. In this way, Shen Bingzin was directly accepted by the leader of Tianxing sect and became one of his personal disciples. Shen Bingzin was very happy. The main purpose of her joining Tianxing sect was to worship a powerful master, and being able to worship Mo Tianxing was also what she wanted most. Shen Bingzin naturally stood aside and made room for her. Now that she has finished the test, it is the turn of others, and there are still so many people waiting behind. The geniuses behind were envious of Shen Bingzin for becoming the direct disciple of the sect master. They have not taken the test yet, but they are very much looking forward to it. They know that their talents are not as good as Shen Bingzin, and they may not be favored by the sect master, but they also want to become the direct disciples of those peak masters. Even if they are not direct disciples, core disciples will do. Soon, another figure walked up to the stone platform in front. This time, it was a very sturdy and strong figure who walked up. A young man named Gao Tai from the southern barbarian land. The next moment, Gao Tai directly placed his palm on the stone platform. Boom! Suddenly, a strong momentum burst out from his body. Buzz! A series of lights followed closely, shining from the stone pillars behind. One after another. In just a few breaths, 6 of the 9 stone pillars at the back lit up with brilliant light. Southern Barbarian Land, Gao Tai, top talent, Dao Bone heavenly grade. Soon, the elder man in a white robe next to him announced the result. 6 of the 9 dragon pillars lit up. Gao Tai's talent was actually comparable to that of Wang Dao Fa. Obviously, the young man in front of him, Gao Tai, also had a very terrifying talent and was qualified to become a direct disciple. Gao Tai, are you willing to become a disciple of my Ho-Tu Peak? The next moment, a voice resounded between the world again, and the person who spoke was the Peak Master of Ho-Tu Peak. Gao Tai is willing. Gao Tai agreed without any hesitation. In this way, Gao Tai also became a direct disciple of Ho-Tu Peak. The 3 people in front of him all became direct disciples. Such a scene, in the eyes of everyone, was very shocking. However, they soon calmed down. Because, things like this happened before when they entered the sect. Behind this high-speed train, a woman in black clothes and a veil walked up. I know that no one has seen this woman's face clearly now, but there is no doubt that judging from the previous assessment of climbing the ladder, this woman's talent is definitely not weak. Moreover, judging from the woman's figure, the woman's appearance is probably not bad, of course, excluding some special circumstances. This woman walked in front of the stone pillar in the line of sight. When everyone saw this scene, they were a little curious. What level of talent could the woman in front of them have? At this moment, Li Hao also cast his eyes on the woman wearing a black skirt, with a sparkle in his eyes. This woman's talent is probably extraordinary. Li Hao murmured in his heart. Of the people in the field, Li Hao could only see through the woman in front of him. She might have some secret treasure covering her cultivation. Moreover, from the strange movement of his 8-part pagoda body before, Li Hao knew that the woman in front of him and the body might also have a Dharmakaya immortal form. Can a genius who possesses the immortal appearance of Dharmakaya be an ordinary person? There is no doubt that Li Hao is also looking forward to the test of the woman in front of him. Afterwards, the woman also walked directly to the stone platform. The next moment, one after another light shot into the sky from the stone pillar. 1, 2, 3. In the blink of an eye, 6 light pillars lit up. Moreover, this is not over yet, there is also a faint spiritual light on the 7th light pillar. When everyone saw this scene, they were so shocked that they held their breath. Finally, an extremely bright light burst out from the 7th pillar of light. The powerful light shot straight into the sky and illuminated the entire world. Not only that, a shocking scene happened. The light above the 7 light pillars seemed to have turned into 7 golden dragons, rising up and hovering in the void. Vision. This is a vision. 7 dragon pillars. 7 dragon pillars actually lit up. Oh my God, 7 more lights. This is another monster. Where did this woman come from? I'm afraid there will be another direct disciple. A series of uproarious sounds suddenly came from the mouths of countless Tianxing sect members, which was enough to show how shocked these people were, and some even stood up uncomfortably. The vision of 7 dragons soaring. This is a divine Taoist bone. Not bad, not bad. It's actually another good seedling that is rare to see in a century. This time, it's my turn to accept a disciple, right? This girl has a destiny with me. At this moment, even the senior officials of the Tianxing sect in the main hall exclaimed, and then began to grab people. The coast of the East China Sea, Longhui, the best talent, the divine bone. The old man who announced the results was obviously shocked by the shocking scene in front of him. After a moment, he slowly announced the test results. Excellent talent. Divine Taoist bones. This result directly discouraged and amazed countless people. In other words, the talent of the woman in black in front of her is even stronger than that of Shen Bingzhen of the Shen family in Zhongzhou. Even Mo Tianxing wanted to take on a disciple again. But he just received one. In the end, after a fierce argument among the big bosses, the woman named Long Gui became a disciple of the low-key Master Jufeng and became the second direct disciple of Master Jufeng. After the woman in black, the young man carrying a long sword also walked up. This young man with a negative sword also made the 6 dragon pillars light up. Yu Zhu, Ye Lang, top grade talent, heaven grade Taoist bones. The name of this young man carrying a sword was originally Ye Lang. He came from Yu Zhu, and his talent was comparable to that of Wang Daifa. Finally, this Ye Lang was accepted by the Peak Master of Tianjian Peak and became his direct disciple. After this young man carrying a sword, one after another talented people stepped forward to conduct tests. However, the talent is somewhat worse than those of the previous geniuses. Zhongzhou, Wang Ming, middle grade talent, earth grade Taoist bones, can be an inner disciple, mountain peak. Bihanzhou, Luyi, top grade talent, earth grade Taoist bones, can be a core disciple, mountain peak. Sea of Nothingness, Songju, top grade talent, ordinary grade Taoist bones, can be an inner disciple, mountain peak. Li Tian, from Paradise Continent, is a middle grade talent with no Taoist bones. He can be an outer sect disciple, and he can be chosen by the mountain peak. Zhongshan, Paradise Island, low grade talent, earth grade Taoist bones, can be an inner disciple's wood, mountain peak of your choice. These geniuses come from various regions, some have become core disciples, some have become inner disciples, and some with weaker talents have only become outer disciples. As one figure after another came forward to test, more than half of the people present were soon tested. In the lower realm, Yu Bufan has top grade talents and earth grade Taoist bones. He can be an inner disciple. The mountain peak is of your choice. At some point, the result announced by the elder man in white robe attracted the attention of many people. People from the lower world. This guy is actually from the lower world. Can a barren land like the lower realm produce someone with such a strong talent? However, the lower realm is the lower realm after all. Do you really think that coming to the fairy world will be a big deal? Disdainful voices came out from these Tianxiaos, and even their eyes were cold. As we all know, the entire Haotian immortal realm is divided into several regions: Zhongzhou, Yuzhou, Bihanzhou, Jilazhou, Nanman Land, East Seashore, and Sea of Nothingness. In the eyes of the Tianxiaos, the people of the lower world are like ants. They think they are superior and extremely arrogant. Moreover, this person from the lower world named Yu Bufan, who also has a high-grade talent and a ground-grade Taoist bone, has only become an inner disciple. You should know that people with such talent before have directly become core disciples. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip: report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 592. Many geniuses went through tests and became core disciples or inner disciples, and the worst ones were also outer disciples. These geniuses come from various regions of the Haotian immortal domain. And when this genius from the lower world appeared, it attracted the attention of many people. Talents of the same level, as well as Taoist bones. But Yu Bufan, who came from the lower realm, only became an inner disciple. You must know that someone with such talent before has directly become a core disciple. Obviously, this is not fair treatment. But in the eyes of everyone, all this seems to be natural. Obviously, these geniuses did not take the people of the lower world seriously, and they looked at Yu Bufan with a touch of contempt in their eyes. Inner disciple? Why am I just an inner disciple? At this moment, when the young man named Yu Bufan heard the result, his expression changed involuntarily, and he asked directly in confusion. Obviously, he was not satisfied with the result and was still unconvinced. Because you are from the lower world, this is the rule. The middle-aged man in a white robe heard Yu Bufan's words and said in a deep voice that this was not the result he had decided, but it had always been like this. People in the lower world, even with the same talent, would have better results than others are inferior. When the young man named Yu Bufan heard this, his face darkened again, with a hint of dissatisfaction in his eyes. However, perhaps due to the huge pressure, the young man named Yu Bufan did not refute anything. There is no use in talking more. Inner disciples should just be inner disciples. He will let these people know that people in the lower world are also stronger than them. Finally, this young man named Yu Bufan went to Tianjian Peak. Li Hao stood among the crowd and couldn't help but frown as he watched the scene happening in front of him. Should people from the lower world be inferior? Are people from the lower world looked down upon by these people? People from the lower world should suffer unfair treatment? You know, you are also a person from the lower world. At this moment, Li Hao also felt a sense of dissatisfaction in his heart. He. At a certain moment, Li Hao sneered again. Originally, he did not expect to become a core disciple, a direct disciple, or anything like that. Li Hao was just a newcomer, unfamiliar with the place, and wanted to find a stable place. One day, Li Hao will also let these people in front of him know that looking down on people in the lower world will be something they regret. After Yu Bufan, another genius came up to conduct tests. These geniuses are not weak in talent, but they are still inferior to Wang Daifa and others before. There are still no stunning figures. Some people have become core disciples, some have become inner disciples, and some have become outer disciples. There are even two geniuses. No, they can no longer be called geniuses. Only one of the 9 dragon pillars is lit up, and they don't even have a Taoist bone. In the end, these two guys actually became just handyman disciples, which was shocking. As time goes by, more and more geniuses have completed the test, truly become disciples of Tianxing sect, and even worshipped under the mountain of their choice. Soon, a solitary figure was left in this huge square. And this figure is none other than Li Hao. Everyone else has been tested, and now only Li Hao is left who has not yet been tested. Boy, it's your turn. As the middle-aged man's voice spread, everyone's eyes fell on Li Hao. When Li Hao heard this, his expression did not change, and he immediately asked again. Well, I would like to ask, is this test just a test of talent, Taoist bones, etc., then see if we are qualified to become inner disciples, core disciples, etc. Hearing Li Hao's words, the middle-aged man's face hardened again, and he still replied in a deep voice, that's right. As long as you can test your talent and Tao bones that are strong enough, you will have the opportunity to become an inner disciple, a core disciple. And was even accepted as a direct disciple by the big guys of my Tianxing sect. You have to know that the sect's resources are limited, and disciples with different statuses will naturally enjoy different resources and treatment. If you want to get better resource treatment, then use your talents. This middle-aged man was very patient and explained clearly. However, just as he finished speaking, the guy in front of him spoke again. Trouble, let me ask again, what will happen if there is no test? Li Hao asked again. The middle-aged man couldn't help but frown when he heard Li Hao's words. Why does this kid have so many problems? You are the only one left. The middle-aged man asked in his heart, but as a sect elder and a powerful golden immortal, he controlled the emotions in his heart and said calmly. If you don't take the test, then you can only become the lowest disciple of Tianxing sect, that is, just a handyman disciple. But when the middle-aged man said these words, Li Hao felt happy in his heart. Hello, handyman disciple. We just want to be a handyman disciple. Moreover, this is a task assigned by the system. As long as you refuse the test, you can get rewards from the system. What does it mean to be the lowest servant disciple? So, without any hesitation, Li Hao said directly. Senior, I won't take the test. I'll just be a chores disciple. As soon as Li Hao said this, everyone looked at Li Hao with a surprised look. What? He won't take the test. Just be a chores disciple. Is this guy mentally retarded? He actually doesn't take the test. Chancery disciples, it seems that they can't even enter the library of Tianxing sect. They are just chores. What's good about chores disciples? Others want to become direct disciples, core disciples, this guy is really weird. Immediately, a series of surprised voices came out from the mouths of these geniuses. No one expected that the guy in front of them didn't want to take the test. Is this guy too weak in talent and self-aware? Don't want to go up and embarrass himself. It's possible. Someone else said so, thinking so in his heart. At this moment, it was this middle-aged man who was stunned after hearing what Li Hao said. What? No test? Did this guy say something wrong? Immediately, the middle-aged man asked Li Hao again, you don't want to take the test? Isn't what I just said clear enough? The resources and treatment of menial disciples are the worst among all disciples, and there are even many places in the sect that they can't enter. Yeah. I understand. Li Hao nodded heavily, and then said very seriously, I know that my talent is too poor, so I won't take the test. Menial disciples are menial disciples, as long as they are disciples of Tianxing sect. As soon as Li Hao said this, everyone looked at Li Hao with a strange look in their eyes, as if they were looking at a fool. The middle-aged man didn't expect that the guy in front of him really didn't want to take the test. In all these years, I have never encountered such a thing. Are you sure you don't want to take the test? Just become a menial disciple. The middle-aged man asked again. Sure and sure. God-level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 593. Sure and sure. Li Hao said firmly. If that's the case, then it's up to you. Hearing Li Hao's words, the middle-aged man said nothing more, and then announced the result coldly. In the lower realm, Li Hao, who refused the test, can be a handyman disciple. Boom. What? This guy is also a person from the lower world. I'm just telling you. No wonder he doesn't want to do the test. It turns out he really doesn't want to be embarrassed. People in the lower world, even if they are tested, they may not be able to find any powerful talents. As soon as the results announced by the middle-aged man came out, the talented people around them immediately knew that Li Hao in front of them was also from the lower world, and they all made disdainful sounds. People in the lower world are never looked down upon by them, they are inherently superior to others. Okay. Now that everyone has passed the examination of my Tianxing sect and become my disciples, let's practice well. As the words fell, the middle-aged man disappeared directly, completing his mission. Soon, the geniuses around them also dispersed. Everyone goes back to his own home, everyone looks for his own mother. Of course, they have become disciples of the Tianxing sect and have worshipped under the different peaks of the Tianxing section. Those peaks are naturally their destination and the place where they will live in the future. Especially those core disciples, direct disciples, etc., the first thing they want to do now is to visit their master, and some people to get familiar with the environment of the immortal sect. After a while, there were only a few people left in the huge square. Li Hao is one of them. These geniuses have chosen their own mountain peaks and their own masters, and Li Hao is one of those who did not choose a mountain peak. Only the inner disciples, after choosing the peaks and masters, are qualified to live on those peaks, and the spiritual energy on those mountain peaks is even richer than the spiritual energy in other places within Tianxing section. The inner disciples and the core and direct disciples can have their own place to live on these mountain peaks. This can also be said to be a benefit for the sect. As for the outer disciples and handyman disciples like Li Hao, they do not have such treatment or qualifications at all. No one cares about us. The few remaining people looked at each other, and someone said aloud. It seems so. Who said we are outer disciples? All co-authors can develop freely, right? No resources, no master to guide them. Well. Some people couldn't help but sigh. However, they have nothing to complain about. The world of cultivation is such a cruel reality, and their talents determine their treatment. The next moment, someone else's eyes fell on Li Hao, with a strange look on his face. This guy from the lower realm actually gave up the assessment and didn't even try. He didn't know if his talent was really too low and he didn't want to embarrass himself. However, this is their own business and they have no control over it. Li Hao didn't pay attention to the weird looks in these guys' eyes at all, and turned around and left the square. For now, let's get familiar with the sect first. As for the subsequent plan, Li Hao has no plan at all. This person is unfamiliar with the place, and Li Hao has no purpose or idea. This Tianxing sect is very large, like an independent space, with mountains and rivers everywhere. On the sky, rainbows flash across from time to time. Within the rainbows are proud figures, and these figures are obviously disciples of the Tianxing sect, shuttling between the mountains, busy with their own affairs. Li Hao noticed that some of these figures were flying directly on the wind, while others were sitting on some monster beast mounts, birds, or strange beasts, and some were walking on weapons. Standing on top of strange spiritual weapons, the majority of them are those who fly with swords. When Li Hao saw this scene, he also summoned the star demon sword and stood up with the sword. Li Hao was dressed in white, standing on a flying sword. With his extraordinary handsome appearance and otherworldly temperament, he looked very much like a disciple of the immortal sect. Li Hao walked with his sword, and in the next moment, he saw a large palace standing on the mountain, built against the mountain. Li Hao took a closer look and saw the name of this hall. Divine Pill Palace. It can be seen from the name that this should be a place related to alchemy. There are many elixirs in my system world. With the improvement of Li Hao's cultivation, Li Hao's level of alchemy has naturally improved a lot. Li Hao doesn't know where his level of alchemy has reached now, because Li Hao has not refined elixirs for a long time. Go back and have a look. Li Hao did not enter the Divine Elixir Palace and was still walking in the air with his sword. Soon, Li Hao came to a valley again. There is a portal in this valley, with many disciples coming in and out, as if it was built underground. Hall of Merit. This is the name of this place, and I don't know what it is about. Li Hao didn't care and didn't stop. After a while, Li Hao saw another valley. This valley was actually shrouded by a formation, and he couldn't see clearly what was going on inside. However, there was a stone tablet standing at the entrance, with the words Baiko written on it. Looking at the name, it sounds a bit like a place to grow spiritual medicine. Speaking of spiritual medicine, Li Hao also has quite a few. In the system world, with the improvement of Li Hao's cultivation and the existence of spiritual veins, earth-shaking changes have already taken place, and some spiritual herbs have already grown very strong. Moreover, the 100 million top-grade spiritual stones rewarded by the system are simply not enough. Li Hao still did not stop, and just juttled through the Tianxing sect. Wandering around. That's right, just wandering around. Wandering around aimlessly. At a certain moment, a mechanical voice suddenly sounded in Li Hao's mind. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, get the reward, God grade full attribute talent, Supreme Taoist bone, cultivation add 100 years. This is the voice of the system. Li Hao has become accustomed to this voice, but for the reward of the system, Li Hao still feels very excited. Sure enough, the system's reward may be late, but it will never be absent. After the system prompt appears, as long as you do it according to the prompt, the system's reward will come as expected. At present, this reward is the benefit of his previous refusal to take the assessment and choosing to become a menial disciple. God level full attribute talent? Supreme Dao bone? Hearing about the system's reward, Li Hao was shocked. God level full attribute talent, what kind of talent is it? Isn't talent divided into low grade, middle grade, high grade, and extreme grade talents? What's the matter with this God level talent? It's full attribute. As for the Dao bone, isn't it divided into ordinary, earth grade, heaven grade, holy, and God grade? What is this supreme Dao bone?